Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time. Thank you for all those that checked out the watch along of the Wild Card Sunday edition of the State of the Saints podcast. Had a really good time chopping it up, talking about some NFL topics, also talking about some New Orleans Saints news. So if you didn't check it out, I encourage you to do so. I mean, there's some really good stuff in that 2.5, 3 hour podcast that we done on the show. But on this edition, we're going to be talking about General Manager Mickey Loomis. He had his end of the year press conference, conference that I'm pretty sure a lot of people were waiting for to hear what Mickey Loomis had to say in regards to the state of the Saints, no pun intended. But before I get started, I want to let you know that this show is powered by BETUS. You can sign up today, get up to 150% on your first deposit, up to 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000. All you have to do is use the promo code YouTube150. That's YouTube150. But let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's go ahead. I listened to all 49 minutes of this press conference, and quite frankly, Who That Nation, I wasn't really going to do a show. I wasn't going to do a show because, when I listened to General Manager Mickey Loomis talk, it's just extremely frustrating because here we are as Saints fans, as onlookers, reporters, etc., and we're trying to figure out what's going on with the team and the direction that the team is actually going in. And, this guy doesn't really provide anything. I can understand like keeping things close to the vest, but when you even had 4 years of disappointment, 4 years of not making a playoffs, 2 years or 2.5 rather, of having a head coach that left a lot to be desired, quarterback situation in shambles, watching draft picks that you selected go to other teams and live out their true lives and live their best lives. You would think that you would have something more to say. I just never get anything from this guy. And quite frankly, I'm pretty sure I think I echo the sentiments of all the members of the Who That Nation when I say I feel like this team is going in the wrong direction and they're damn near doomed. They're doomed if they do a certain thing, which I'll get into later in the podcast. But let's go ahead and break down some of these topics, the topics that kind of stood out. The first topic was, in particular, was the search committee. As we know, the Saints are looking for the next head coach, the next guy that can lead this team into the future. And the question was asked, who is helping Mickey Loomis spearhead this whole operation? And this is what he said.
Yeah, we've got we've got most of our football people in it. Michael Parrington, Jeff, myself, Kai, Dave Ziegler and Randy are also involved. The former general managers, they have a lot of experience in our league. And so it's really that group of people that are going through, the details and the process with me.
All right, so as we can hear, he brought in this guy, a couple guys that he know, Randy Mueller. Randy Mueller was the former general manager of the New Orleans Saints before he was fired because he tried to jump ship and tried to become the general manager of the Atlanta Falcons. But that's another story for another day. And Ziegler, Big Ziggs, is also helping them spearhead this whole searching process. A guy who was the general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders and got fired. So right now you have two guys who were former general managers, I will say that, but they got fired. And the only reason why Ziegler honestly probably even had a job, because guess who his best friend was? His best friend was former head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, Josh McDaniels. Actually, their relationship go back as far as their college days because they were college roommates. So you have a guy in Ziegler who did work with the New England Patriots, but we all know who was running the show there. It was Bill Belichick. He kind of ran some things behind the scenes, and then he ends up going with his best buddy, Josh McDaniels, who probably just appointed him general manager, and he got fired. So once again, two guys that end up getting fired. These are the guys that are helping you. So you have two individuals that don't have any good experience hiring good coaches. I mean, I guess you can say Randy Mueller hired Jim Haslett. Jim Haslett was responsible for, the Saints winning their first playoff game and had a couple good years. I guess that was a solid hire, I guess. But who the hell did Ziegler hire? You know what I'm saying? Like the Raiders are a revolving door, including his best buddy, who he ended up being a general manager of. He got kicked out along with him. But I digress. He said that these are the individuals that are helping out along with Jeff Ireland and Kai Harley. Kai Harley, I have absolutely no problem with. Jeff Ireland, I guess, based on what I've been seeing out of some of these draft picks when they leave the Saints and live their best lives, I guess he knows what he's doing. But like I said, little to no optimism here. And I just feel like if we're going to do this thing and we're going to keep on doing the same things and doing the same practices over and over again, how the hell are we going to expect different results? But according to Mickey Loomis, that's not his wheelhouse. Looking at this as it is insanity. It's not insane, folks, because Mickey Loomis understands that everything is going to be all right. He prides himself as a glass half full type individual, right? I mean, and some of these type of decisions that he made, he feels like they weren't terrible decisions. Like, for example, hiring Dennis Allen. Now, we all know that the New Orleans Saints kind of slept their way through the interview process because they wanted Dennis Allen the entire time. And we know that it was an unmitigated disaster. The fact that Dennis Allen has one of the worst coaching percentages of all time. It don't seem like the team really wanted to play for him. And it just seemed like, nobody really lost any sleep when he got fired. But the question was asked, does he have any regrets in hiring Dennis Allen as his head coach? And this is what he said.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that other than, look, it was an organization decision, and I'm part of the organization.
Part of that positivity you mentioned was pretty firmly standing behind Dennis last year in January. Mm-hmm. Do you regret any of those statements?
No, I don't regret any of it. Dennis Allen's a really good football coach. So I don't regret any of that.
No regrets. No regrets by Mickey Loomis for hiring a guy who basically was given a really good foundation, a coach that stepped down, not fired, and a coaching staff that was ready to take this team to the playoffs, and he just turned this team into an absolute dumpster fire. Now, you can blame the injuries all you want to, but we know that on the defensive side of the football, you had all of your starters for the exception of Marshawn Lattimore, who you traded. But over the last couple of years, the narrative has been Marshawn Lattimore hasn't played enough, and Paulson Adebo, who left midway through the season with a broken leg. But we know that this team was good enough defensively, Dennis Allen's wheelhouse, to actually at least be formidable defensively. But we've seen this team revert back to the days where they couldn't stop traffic with a stop sign. Around the time where Rob Ryan was the defensive coordinator, and we used to throw pillows and things at our television because how terrible the defense was. But it's the injuries, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're supposed to believe. We're supposed to believe that the frustration, the reason why you're upset, the reason why the Saints are 5-12 is strictly, mostly because of these injuries. It has very little to do with Dennis Allen, who more than likely will never be a head coach in the league again. Now, he will be a defensive coordinator and highly touted, justifiably so. But at the end of the day, we know that he will never be a head coach again. But this guy is saying, Mickey Loomis, that he's a great coach. He's the only person on God's green earth that thinks that Dennis Allen is a great head coach. But let's go ahead and move on. Dennis Allen feels he can turn this thing around, right? It's like, forget about all of the drafts, mock drafts that you've done. Never mind all the talk that we had about how this team at this particular time, I mean, take your pick, what they actually need in a draft. Nobody will get upset. This is an easy fix, right? I mean, this is something that can easily be turned around. Don't believe me? Listen to Mickey Loomis.
Well, look, I'm positive. You know, I'm glass half full at all times. I see a lot of things, even in a 5-12 season. I see a lot of things that were positive that we can build on, and so I'm on the side of, man, this thing can go the other direction pretty quickly. I think that one of the things that's really important is to be able to have a collective vision and be on the same page organizationally. Ownership, GM, coach, coaches, personnel department. We have to have the same collective vision. And you know, we'll get to that. All of these candidates are going to have strengths and weaknesses, and we've got our strengths and weaknesses and blind spots, and so we just have to go through that and figure out, and we will, who the best fit is for us.
So he's a glass half full type guy. You know, forget about the fact that your team hasn't made the playoffs in 4 seasons. Forget the fact that you just fired a coach, one of the worst coaches in history. You're a glass half full type guy. You know that you can actually turn this thing around. Forget about the salary cap. I mean, according to Mickey Loomis, he says that all these teams are going to go through salary cap issues. You know, everybody kind of goes through that. Never mind the fact that you're about what, $50-60 million in dead cap money. The closest person to you is about 19. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on and talk a little bit more about some of the things that he actually said. Speaking of the cap, this is what he said about the cap.
I've seen that narrative out there. I think there's a little. You can't just say, "Hey, here's the number, here's their over," and that's a disaster, right? I mean, we've got the most players under contract of any team. Yes, we're over, but there's a lot of teams below us that have, you know, we've got 61 players under contract right now, and there's teams that have cap room, but they've got 38 or 36. So it's a collective. You know, how much guaranteed is out there? How much is the acceleration that exists? You know, who are the players they have under contract? There's so many elements. I'm pretty comfortable with where we're at. I'm comfortably uncomfortable. So it's something we have to manage, but there's a lot of teams that have to manage their cap that way, and some of the ones that don't are going to have to at some point. So. I feel okay about where we're at. I think we're making progress from where we've been the last few years. You know that, so I'm feeling better about it.
This team is making progress once again. They're about $60 million over the cap, probably a little bit more than that upon the making of this podcast. But don't worry, because Mickey Loomis is still looking beyond the results.
Look, the results are the results, and you can't ignore the results. But you also have to look beyond the results sometimes and understand the reasons behind the symptoms. And some are in our control, some aren't. And so, look, we have to do the best job we can with the things that are in our control, and we have to understand the things that aren't. And look, I know you guys, nobody wants to hear this, but this injury thing was a big deal this year, a really big deal. Prevented us from winning games, prevented us from being competitive in games. And so we have to get a handle on that, I think, more than anything else.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Saints general manager Mickey Loomis. Those were some of the key points that he made throughout this press conference. He also spoke a little bit about, wanting a head coach. And I don't have that soundbite, but I'm going to paraphrase that. Basically said that he's looking for somebody that is a winner, somebody that has a proven track record, which leads me to my next point. Ladies and gentlemen, look, we already know what's about to happen here. I'll be shocked, absolutely 100% shocked if this doesn't happen. Mike McCarthy will be the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Why? It's because of a few things. We heard the story a couple of weeks ago about Mickey Loomis wanting to hire somebody that he's familiar with. Check. He wants to hire somebody that has a proven track record of winning. Check. And he wants somebody that he's, relatively close to. Check, check, and check, ladies and gentlemen. Mike McCarthy, more than likely, is going to be the head coach. He recently could not come together with a deal with Cowboy general manager Jerry Jones, and you have to believe that maybe the Saints were kind of wanting this situation to happen. And kind of the way that I know how things work in the National Football League, behind the scenes, there were talks. And they knew that this dude more than likely wasn't going to sign back with the Cowboys. And they were just kind of waiting around. And the best thing about this is Mike McCarthy, probably in the next, if you're watching this right now, it's about 6:23 Eastern Standard Time. So less than 6 hours, he'll be a free agent. And he doesn't have to do a virtual call. He can actually walk into the facility, shake the hand of Mickey Loomis. They can crack jokes and talk about all the days when, he was the offensive coordinator of the team. And, talk about possibility of him being a head coach. This is what's going to happen because this organization just can't get out of his own way. They just cannot embark on a future. They cannot take a chance on someone a little bit different. You can go out here and get an Aaron Glenn, a guy that can probably, turn this thing around, build a culture that's a little bit different than what you're used to. You can go out here, you can roll with a Joe Brady, a young guy who has a lot of offensive ideas that can add to your team, probably help develop your quarterback. But instead, you're probably going to go with Mike McCarthy. And let me make this very clear. I don't have an issue with Mike McCarthy. As a matter of fact, I think based on what the New Orleans Saints needs are and how this team is structured, Mike McCarthy is the right person for the job. You may not want to hear it, but that's just reality. The reality is your team is in cap hell. The reality is you have an impatient fan base. The reality is you haven't been to the postseason in 4 years, and you have a guy in Mike McCarthy who has had a track record of building teams. He was with the Green Bay Packers where they drafted really well, and he has experience developing quarterbacks. So all in all, probably more than likely going to have Mike McCarthy as your head coach. He's a 61-year-old coach, won over 100 games in the league. Even with the Cowboys, he won a lot of football games. And a lot of people don't want to hear this either. He has a better playoff record than Sean Payton. He has a better overall record than Sean Payton. And, he's probably, even though he's been in the league, he's the closest thing to Sean Payton without being it. A guy that won a Super Bowl, check. Guy that won a lot of games, check. Get a team to the playoff, check. Do a lot with a little. We've seen him use Cooper Rush for the majority of the Cowboys season and made him look formidable. Like I said, they're probably going to go with him, but it's not the worst decision in the world. It's just the fact that people want to hear something different, want to see something different. But we know that the New Orleans Saints aren't going to do that because they don't look at themselves as a team with an issue. They don't look at themselves as a team with a problem. They don't feel like they have a problem. They feel like they have all the solutions, and the solutions are, within that front office. You got too many like-minded people up in there, too many bosom buddies for my liking. Who is the guy that's going to stand up and say this is a bad idea, right? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to be that guy? You got Randy Mueller. What are you going to say to Randy Mueller? Randy Mueller is like Mickey Loomis, like his big brother or something. And then, you got Ziegler, who I don't know where the heck he came from, and I don't know what this fascination is about getting Raider guys. I don't get it, man. Look, if you want to roll with a Packer guy, want to roll with a Raven guy, but what have the Raiders done for you to have to recycle or retrade anything that they do? To me personally, I feel like you need to remove yourself as far away from Raider customs as you possibly can. But, I mean, you start to roll around with Raiders, you start to smell like them. And quite frankly, the Saints are starting to smell like the Raiders. As a matter of fact, it's starting to smell worse because the last time I checked, the Raiders beat the Saints. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments here. Let's go ahead and read some of these comments, man. It's not going to be a long show at all. Not going to be a long show at all, ladies and gentlemen. It's not even worth, like, it ain't even really worth dissecting, to be honest with you. Hopefully they just make the right decisions. Hopefully when Mike McCarthy comes in, he can actually help this team. You have to concede and say if they do hire Mike McCarthy, the Saints automatically have the best head coach in the NFC South. So at least they got that going for them, you know? Hey, TJ, this man really believes this thing doesn't need any changes. I don't know if he don't feel that they need changes, but I do feel like he's not going to go out here to try to rock the boat to try to make significant changes. And, you know, I mean, you kind of seen the writing on the wall. You know, the fact that they're allowing some of their offensive coaching staff to go interview for other jobs. You know, like you kind of see what's going on here. You know that, you know, more than likely they're going to get a coach that's going to want to do a complete overhaul of the coaching staff. So Jamal says, TJ, he said no regrets. God help us all. TJ, this stupid man really believes this thing doesn't need no changes. I want an OC, not a head coach that failed on his last team. Common sense. Well, Addison, did he really fail? Like, did Mike McCarthy really fail as the coach of the Cowboys? That's the question. Like, did he fail? I guess, like, if you're looking at it from not making a Super Bowl standpoint, but Mike McCarthy had a good record as the head coach of the Cowboys. You know, it wasn't a bad record. Let me make sure. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. You know, he was 49-35. So close to, I guess you can round it off, a 60% winning percentage, and that's around his wheelhouse. I think he has a .61 winning percentage. He had a .61 winning percentage in Green Bay, and he has like nearly a 60% winning percentage in Dallas. So he is not a bad coach. I don't want people to feel that like you can do worse than hiring Mike McCarthy. I want people to understand that. Like, the dude is not a terrible coach. And like I said, we look at this fan base, man. Like, people are itching for some playoffs. People are itching for some prosperity. And I just don't feel like people are going to be able to sit around and wait patiently for this team to figure it out. And that's the reason why I've been lobbying for this and advocating for this. I said that in a better world, you want to go with a young, unproven coach. But based on how the Saints are structured, based on the fan base, you got to go with somebody that has a proven product. Because if you don't, then the Saints games are probably going to be virtually unwatchable, because you're going to have a coach in here that's trying to figure it out, dealing with the salary cap, dealing with that struggle. At least you have a coach in Mike McCarthy that can actually build something and come up with a game plan to make you look presentable from week to week until like you get the salary cap under control by drafting really well and not going out here exerting too much money. You can, get it back into compliance and you can really be a contender. But in the meantime, you're playing in a division in the NFC South with some good coaching. You can actually win a division because everybody, for the most part, is not very good. So as long as you have Todd Bowles in Tampa, as long as you still have like Raheem Morris in Atlanta, you got a chance. And like I said, when Mike McCarthy, if he gets hired by the Saints, which more than likely he will, he becomes the best coach in the NFC South. And that's a start. Like I said, you may not want to hear it, but that's just the reality. People want results, right? We're hearing him talk about looking beyond them, but we want him to look at the results. So the results is they're not a good football team. So how do you change that? You bring somebody in that knows what they're doing. Like you come up with a game plan. Like it's no different than what Sean Payton has done out in Denver. They had a bad salary cap issue and no quarterback. And he turned that thing around, right? Within 2 years, they're in the playoffs. Now they got straight mollywopped, but they still made the playoffs. So you get yourself another coach kind of similar to that, somebody that knows what they're doing. The Saints can find themselves being on the right track. Maybe, hell, this may be what Spencer Rattler needs in order for him to live up to his true potential. Or some of these other guys that can go out here and make some plays. So all I'm saying is, like, you can do worse. But I don't look at the New Orleans Saints trying to do anything different than what we already know they're going to do. Like, this ain't my first rodeo, ladies and gentlemen. I've been watching this team my whole life. And, you know, I kind of read the pulse and understand the New Orleans Saints and how they think. Like, from time to time, they'll think outside the box and do something completely different than what we're not used to. But most of that is because, quite frankly, they know that everybody knows what they're going to do. So they just kind of throw us a curveball a little bit to keep us on our toes. But we know what these guys are going to do, man. They haven't changed. And, you know, they had so much success with one individual in the past. Now they just feel like they just have all the answers, and they don't. TJ, I listened to it for about 5 minutes and turned it off. Crazy, man. I feel sorry for the Saints fan base. Yeah, man, I was listening to it a little bit when I was at the radio station today. Caught a little bit more of it when I was driving to pick Paxton up from school. But, yeah, man, I mean, look, you knew what you was going to get, man. I don't know if people just thought, like, man, he was just going to come out here with some fire and fury, you know, and kind of talk about, yo, man, this was a mistake here. We need to do this. But that's just not his wheelhouse, man. Like, this guy can be standing a mistake right in the face and act like it don't exist. Everybody know that this team is on a downward spiral if they don't change some things. But, you know, they probably want to bring in a coach that makes their life much easier. Like, they want to bring in a Mike McCarthy because Mike McCarthy can probably shield some of their imperfections just like Sean Payton did. So I just feel like maybe some of these other new coaches, these young coaches, might be a little bit too much high maintenance for them. Like, they want to hide behind the scenes and collect all the money and, you know, watch this coach around here put together a decent product where, you know, they can win some football games. And, you know, like I said, they can go back to, you know, doing the things behind the scenes and reaping a little bit of the benefits and keeping people out their mentions and, you know, and stop mentioning their name. And, you know, this is probably something that Mike McCarthy would need. You know, Mike McCarthy was handcuffed in Dallas. You know, we all know that who really runs the show out there in Dallas. It definitely wasn't Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy wasn't responsible for putting together his own staff. There was Jerry Jones. So this man was basically just a head coach in title, but nobody that was a part of his staff. He played a role in bringing in probably maybe a quality control guy or something. But, you know, Jerry Jones was the one that was selecting the coordinators, not him. But we know that the Saints are going to give him complete autonomy and be able for him to go out here and pick the guys that he wants. So maybe you'll see a much better version of a Mike McCarthy-led team. All I'm saying is the guy was pretty much handcuffed in Dallas, and you can think, and I can think of worse coaches that the Saints can actually bring in. You know, Mike McCarthy, to me, man, like that would be a really good coach for this team based on their situation right now. TJ, the Saints need the boycott. We need to find someone. We need to do like the Commanders did. We have to find a way to try to get him out of here. Yeah, man, look, as long as he's competent, as long as they feel like, you know, he's doing a relatively good job, he ain't going nowhere. Like, he's not going anywhere until he decides that he wants to go somewhere. It's just that plain and simple. I don't see Gail Benson coming in trying to fire this guy or telling him he needs to be relieved of his duties. It's just not happening. We just got to hope that he makes the right decisions. And that's why I'm saying, like, we pretty much handcuffed to this dude. Like, we got to hope and pray that he makes the right decisions for the betterment of the team. If he doesn't do that, then guess what? I mean, the New Orleans Saints are going to be floundering somewhere, and that's where they are right now. And they would have continued to flounder because this dude would have brought back Dennis Allen again for another season, and we would have been just as miserable. And he would have continued to blame it on the injuries and all these other things. And, you know, I mean, Dennis Allen was not a good head coach. Look, you could put Dennis Allen with the Philadelphia Eagles right now. You could put him with the Detroit Lions. He's going to find a way to screw it up. He's just not a good coach. Like, good defensive coordinator, yes, but he's just not a good coach. No, nobody believes that. Nobody. Nobody believes this, man. And I don't understand, like, what's this, what is this connection to this dude? Like I don't understand it, man. Like, he literally allowed this man, Dennis Allen, to destroy his legacy as a general manager. People weren't looking at Mickey Loomis the way that they do right now. They weren't. They weren't looking at him like he was just the worst thing. Nobody was asking for Mickey Loomis to step down. Like, but you were willing to die on the hill, man. Like, seriously, this is one of those situations. If you ever watch like one of those like dramatic Shakespeare type plays, right? And you have this guy who was basically about to put a knife in his heart, and then somebody just, takes his hand back and throws the knife. That was Gail Benson. This man was willing to put the knife in his heart and go down with the ship with Dennis Allen. Like, I just feel like this man is disconnected with the team. Like, they asked him a question about Cam Jordan and Cam Jordan unhappiness at playing, on the inside at defensive tackle, and he talking about he ain't hear about it. Like, he didn't even know what draft pick they had. Like, what kind of, like, you're the general manager. You don't know what draft pick you have? Like, somebody had to like, hey, man, we got the 9th pick. He think we still at 10. How many weeks? Like, aren't we going like to a full week? So you're telling me all these draft picks, all these mock draft, all this stuff that's going on, you don't know you had the 9th pick in the draft. You don't know that the best player on your team, the face of your franchise, and Cam Jordan, is unhappy at playing on the inside, at the nose. You kidding me, right? But that tells you, if he doesn't know stuff like that, little stuff that you can easily see by just firing up a computer, he had to believe that this team, like, that's the reason probably why he's shouting from the rooftops, it was the injuries. Maybe he wasn't looking at Alvin Kamara to talk about, man, there's something else that may need to change. Maybe he ain't looking at the fact that Cam Jordan walking in disappointment and frustration after a loss against the Carolina Panthers. Maybe he didn't. Like, that's probably that's the main problem right there. There's a complete disconnect between player and front office. Like, you don't even know the pulse of your players. That's a damn shame. The media shouldn't have to tell you how Cam Jordan, the face of your franchise, feels about the state of the team. It just doesn't make any sense, man. Like, this is the guy that's the general manager. Like, you don't know what's going, like I said, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to me. There's a disconnect. So that's the reason why he's still sitting up here talking about, like the injuries. Dennis Allen's a good coach. If they would have stayed healthy, nah, bro. Nah. You don't allow some of these things to transpire. Like, they don't just forget how to play defense. Like, they don't just forget how to play defense. Like, all of a sudden, like, this team just basically just has a I don't give a damn type attitude, and it's the injuries. But looking on the defensive side of the football, mostly everybody intact. No, sir, bro. You got to take a look and realize exactly what the heck is going on, and he doesn't want to. Or maybe he just, like I said, just so disconnected from reality of this team. Like, he just feels like, oh, that's just what it was. But, hey. TJ, I'm telling you now, I am about to find me a new team. As long as this guy's the general manager, the Saints will not be good. 100. Any coach comes in, he not going out to them and change the culture. Well, I tell you what, man, look, this is why I'm telling you, like, this is why you need a low maintenance coach. That's why you need a low maintenance coach, because you need somebody that makes him as less hands-on as possible. Like, seriously, this is why the operation worked so well in the past, because you had low maintenance quarterback, low maintenance coach. I'm going to say that again. The reason why it worked, because you had low maintenance quarterback, low maintenance coach. You had a coach in Sean Payton that could turn chicken-ish into chicken salad. You had a quarterback who can turn chicken-ish into chicken salad. No matter what you put out there, no matter how bad your draft picks was, no matter how many guys you whiffed on, no matter how mediocre or average the players are, they are going to help elevate them. Like, it's just what it is. It's the reality of it. Low maintenance coach, low maintenance quarterback. As soon as they had a high maintenance quarterback like Derek Carr, soon as they had a high maintenance coach like Dennis Allen, what happened? What happened? They failed. That is why I'm saying you bring in a guy that is experienced, know what the heck they doing, like Mike McCarthy, they become low maintenance again, and the less hands-on he has to be. We don't have to hear from him. We don't. If you get a coach that knows what he's doing with some experience, you don't have to worry about this dude. He can go right back to being exactly what he was, playing the background, behind the scenes, pretending like he was a part of the show. So I'm telling you right now, like, things are not going to change. The reason why they aren't going to change as long as you have a high maintenance type coach. Somebody that's going to expect or demand something from you in order for you to actually build something. Like, if you have a coach that you can, you draft a height, right? Okay, man, this dude right here, man, you know what I'm saying? He was slashing and dashing out here in college. He was rushing the passer. Okay, man, I can do something with him. Bring him on in. You get the right coaching staff to develop a guy or come up with a game plan to make him stand out. Like, you ain't about to find a coach like Sean Payton that can make a 7th-round pick from Hofstra, make him virtually look like an all-pro. Should have been a multi-time Pro Bowler, but he wasn't a diva in the late 2000s, like most of the divas receivers were to stand out, right? You know what I'm saying? Making a Colston, making a Jimmy Graham, a 6'8" basketball player that used to foul out every game, and turn him into an all-pro, right? Taking a undrafted rookie and making him the best screen catcher in all of football in Pierre Thomas. Like, you ain't finding it, right? Finding, a late round draft pick from Bloomsburg, making him a future Hall of Famer. Low maintenance coaches, low maintenance quarterback combination has made Mickey Loomis who he is and what he is. And folks, I'm telling you, like, he's not going anywhere. So the best thing for the New Orleans Saints is to find somebody that is low maintenance, that can basically work with the tomfoolery that the New Orleans Saints are coming with. That is what's going to save you from insanity, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. TJ Talk here is Mike Tomlin may be interviewing the head coaching position for the Chicago Bears. Not sure it's true, but we'll keep you updated. Well, Chantel, I appreciate that. I know there was some talk about Mike Tomlin and his unsuccessful playoff appearances over the last couple of years. But look, I'll take Mike Tomlin in a heartbeat. I'll take him in a heartbeat, man. DA knew where the bodies were buried. Yeah, he knew something. Hey, TJ, who would you rather have as a coach, Aaron Glenn or Mike McCarthy? I would prefer Glenn, more relatable. Asking me that question, I would have to say, what are the circumstances? Based on the circumstances of the Saints right now, I would go with Mike McCarthy. Because, number one, I wouldn't want Aaron Glenn to come up in here and people not have the patience for him and, not giving him the patience and the time in order to fix this thing when we know that it is clearly broken. I just feel like with Mike McCarthy, he has that experience. Like, I think with a new coach, he has to kind of go through the motions. He has to go through the motions of, trying to figure it out. And most of the time where it comes with a team having a decent salary cap, maybe picking some top picks and maybe have a little bit of talent on their football team that you can actually work with. But I guess the Saints kind of had that, but for the exception of the salary cap. But I think you need Mike McCarthy because I just think that this fan base, so like the majority of them are really intelligent. Like this fan base is really intelligent. I don't care. Like they understand football. They can talk X's and O's, Willies and Joes with the best of them. But you have a very loud, small sample size of fans that, they just act as if they watch the football games blind. Like they don't see what the heck going on in front of them. And it's about wins and losses. Oh, we need somebody that can help us win. Not really understanding what that actually means and what that takes. And I wouldn't want that for Aaron Glenn, especially not in that area. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't want that, right? I want this man to go somewhere where he can have an opportunity and a chance. You have a salary cap that he can work with, have some players that he can actually work with, so the patience of the upper management, front office to be able to help him. That's what I want, right? So if the Saints make him the head coach, I'm not mad. I would continue to advocate that people have patience for him. But I just think that based on his fan base and people, man, see, he sucked. That guy caught a pass on him. Man, he was never good. Third down. He a beast, man. I told y'all he a beast. Like, nah, bro. Those are the folks that be trying to talk the loudest on social media and other platforms. Those are the type of people. They ain't really understanding what the real issues are, right? So me personally, I don't want to see Aaron Glenn, go up in here and people look at him as the scapegoat. I ain't trying to see that. You bring Mike McCarthy in and, maybe with his experience, he can help, do a little something, help build a little something. And, they're going to give him the patience because, that's his boy. So Mickey was saying he failed DA, but couldn't state the reason why. I'll answer for him. He's lazy and unsophisticated, that he's too busy dusting off that lonely trophy instead of trying to get more. I told you, man, like Mickey Loomis is being exposed. That's just what this is. Like that's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. He's being exposed. He was never that good at his job in the first place. He was decent, but he wasn't the best. And he definitely, like got his imperfections were covered. And now we just seeing what he actually is without a really good coach and a really good quarterback, which is just a 68-year-old guy trying to figure it out and still trying to make people feel and like he has the answers, and he gaslight them. And, you know what it is, man. So I don't know exactly what he meant by failing DA. DA failed everybody. He failed himself too. Mickey said DA was an excellent coach. He blames injury and why DA lost 7 straight games and why they became the worst team in the NFL at that point in the season. Well, that's the question that, will never be answered because, he will continue to say it was the injuries. I don't believe that it was the injuries. You don't believe that it was the injuries because you understand what's right in front of you. Mickey Loomis gets the injury report. Oh no. That's the reason, man. We're not going to look good this week. Like I said, man, this is a guy, to me, it seemed like he out of touch. It seemed like he out of touch with his players. It seemed like he don't really, I wonder what type of relationship he has with those players, man. Because it don't seem like, he really has that. Doesn't seem like he really has a really good relationship with him. And like he really don't know exactly what the heck going on. And like I said, man, I don't like the fact that he just went ghost once the organization, got together and agreed and kind of, vetoed him out when they fired Dennis Allen. He just went ghost, right? That was petty. And, that just, to me, that was ego thing. So that was the first, I think this is the first time we really saw him speak to anybody. And, he'll probably speak at the Senior Bowl and, and dance around the questions like he did today. If you're watching this on a Monday, I said McCarthy really is a perfect coach, strictly from an organizational standpoint, experienced, successful coach, and takes the burden off Mickey. That's what I said. Like, you need a low maintenance coach. You don't want to be bothered with this dude, low maintenance coach. You want to win some games that you shouldn't win, low maintenance coach. You want to try to, win while you suck, low maintenance coach. Like, you got to keep this dude away from the situation. You're like, okay. It's all like I said, I apologize for this, but this is the only example I can really use. It's kind of similar to like, you ever had maybe in a parking lot or, what I'm saying? Y'all know how it is, man. Wide open field, maybe in a wide open field, and you put your young child on your lap, right? And you allow that child to move the steering wheel. Like his hands or her hands are on 10 and 2. Like he moving it back and forth, but underneath you got the steering wheel and you just holding it. But in their minds, as the car moves, guess what? They happy, they smiling, and you underneath just trying to make sure that thing's steered. But you get a lot of joy in knowing that they feel like they driving. Mickey Loomis. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like let him feel like he actually doing this thing. Make us feel like he's the one like really putting this thing together. But you the one that has your hand on the wheel, you know what I'm saying, keeping this thing afloat. That's what a Mike McCarthy would do. That's what Sean Payton did. That's what Drew Brees did. So, like I said, he's not going anywhere. We know that he's not going anywhere. So the best thing for the organization, the best thing for your sanity, you may not like this, but the best thing for your sanity is to make sure that this guy is feeling like he running the show. But at the end of the day, the coaches are the ones that putting this thing together. That's what you need to understand. Like, that's where the Saints at this point. If the Saints had better salary cap issues, they had the draft positioning that they had right now, I guarantee y'all be singing a completely different tune. But Mike McCarthy and his philosophy and his way of thinking and his ability makes him the most qualified candidate for this job. Like, sometimes you got to look at you can't look at man, you got to look at a person's resume. You got to sometimes look at, like, there are opportunities where you can give like a young upstart opportunity, but sometimes, man, when you got yourself a mess, you need somebody that's going to go up in there and clean it up. I pride myself on this, and I'm not bragging or boasting. I promise you I'm not. But when in my former life, when I was, before I really got into broadcasting, I was a retail manager and a damn good one. You know what I'm saying? I was a 2-time, manager of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went from work, most of the stores I managed went from worst to first. That's the reason I'm in South Carolina in the first place. Because, the store that I had, I ended up elevating it. They asked me, did I want to leave and come to South Carolina? And I was like, cool. Didn't have a wife at the time, didn't have a son. But all I'm saying is, like, they would call me in certain situations, like, okay, man, we need to go ahead and try to clean this thing up, right? And you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of like what organizations do too. Like, when they used to have those messed up stores, they'll try to look at these resumes and be like, oh man, this guy has manager experience. But if they had like a store that's relatively decent, oh, this person right here, there was an assistant manager, man. Let's try to see if we can elevate them real quick. Right now you got yourself a mess. You got yourself a messy store. I mean, you got merchandise going out the back door. Percentage, you know what I'm saying, on inventory is terrible. Some of y'all know I'm talking about if you work in retail. I apologize if you don't. But when I say about going out the back door, some people ain't honest, right? You know what I'm saying? Stuff going out the back door. When they're doing these inventories, the percentage is, getting everybody kicked up out the door. So you need somebody to come up in there to try to manage that thing, right? To have a really good inventory, a really good solid year. And that's what Mike McCarthy is or will be to the New Orleans Saints if they hire him. This is a team that's in a mess right now. You know what I'm saying? It's not a store with promise right now. It's the store that's in a hood that when you lift up the flap, you know what I'm saying, you got to get that detergent. Y'all know what I'm talking about, man. Look, I know they got some people around there that live in the hood where you got to lift up the flap where they can hear it up front. Doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. You know what I'm saying? Because they know they need that, right? They need that because they need to know who on aisle number 4 who about to take these pies and about to put them in their jacket. Like, shoot. So right now, man, you got to get this store back. You know what I'm saying? You got to get your Joe Clark on, right? You know what I'm saying? If Joe Clark came to East Side, put a coat of paint on that thing, brought it back, they used to call me Crazy Joe. Now they can call me Batman. Like, you need a Joe Clark up in this thing right now. You need Joe Clark, man. Right? Like, you got to have Joe Clark. Joe Clark, you got to get these test scores up, man. Got to get these test scores up. You got to change the school soul. Fair East Side. All right, look, man. I'm just shedding light on it, man. I'm just trying to lighten the room here. But y'all get what I'm saying, right? You gotta lighten it up, man. Fair East Side. Call it what it is. This fan base is 2 races, man. Your words, not mine. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Look, man. At the end of the day, Get in where you fit in, get in where you fit in. I'm not gonna say the fan that I don't want I'm not gonna generalize a fan base, but you do have people that have they have certain mind frames. But I also feel like you just got to be patient. I don't care what color the coach is. Todd Bowles got the Bucs to the playoffs a few times. Exactly. They still want to get this man fired. Resume. What did McCarthy do in Dallas? Are we rewarding him for a Super Bowl from 2011? Well, we reward Sean Payton for a Super Bowl back in 2009. We wanted Sean Payton to stay with this team. I mean, did we not? So if let me make this very, very clear. Okay, so you're telling me Sean Payton leaves the New Orleans Saints, goes to television for a year. Let's just say, for example, Dennis Allen, who went 7-10, they fire him, bring back Sean Payton. Are we upset? Are we saying, oh man, Sean Payton, man, shoot, man, he's still up here. He's still getting credibility for what he did in 2009? All I know is this. Mike McCarthy is a good head football coach, right? And you can talk about these championships or lack thereof, but the dude finds a way to get his team to double-digit wins. He gets the opportunity to win a division. The Cowboys have won the division on several occasions, went into the playoffs, 12-5, 13-2, like, what I'm saying? Like different records like that, 13-3 or whatever, 13-4, 12-5. You know what I'm saying? Like they he's a good coach. He's a good coach. Look at this, man. We got to get away from this. Like, understand this. You can't win if you ain't in. You can talk about, oh, man, every time they go to playoffs, man, they lose. How many teams consistently make it to the postseason? How many teams, constantly find success? Sometimes you become a prisoner of your own success. Like, you start to believe your own hype. It's kind of similar to what we did with Drew Brees. Towards the tail end of Drew Brees' career, he couldn't get the ball down the field past 20 yards. Calling him noodle arm, saying that, oh, man, we need to go in a different direction. How we wouldn't pray today in 2025 that old noodle arm Drew Brees will go out there and throw a 10-yard pass to Chris Olave and complete about 70% of his passes. Like, what we wouldn't give for that. When we watch these coaches, oh, man, they made the playoff, but they ain't win nothing. And you bring in another coach, and you're losing. You're not finding success. You might make the playoffs. You might not. In a couple of years, he fired. Then you got just this revolving door. Look, I'd rather have a coach that's going to give me 10, 11 wins, put me in a position where I can make the postseason, because you can doctor and try to work some things out. But you ain't, like the way that the Saints going right now, you ain't winning jack, and it's miserable. Like we can make fun of Tampa all we want to, laugh at them. Oh man, they got put out by Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, but they was in this thing. They won 4 consecutive NFC South titles, and you can look past that all you want to, but I guarantee you, if the Saints won the NFC South, you'll be bragging and boasting on social media right now. It doesn't matter to you because it don't affect you. It don't matter to you because it ain't happening to you. But I guarantee you, if it does happen to you, you'll be happy, and you definitely will be taking shots at other fan bases that are a part of the South. I don't want to feel like this. If you can find a coach that can get you out of this situation, get you in the postseason, give you a better chance to win, and put you in a position to win, why not get him? I take Mike Tomlin in a heartbeat, Pete Carroll in a heartbeat. Why? Because those guys have a history of winning, and I know I'm going to be in a position to at least get to where I need to be. And if you play some good football, take advantage of opportunities, then you can find yourself in the Super Bowl. You can find yourself in the NFC Championship game. But the way the Saints going right now, 5-12, you ain't getting nothing. Like, man, we want to sit up here. We want the shiny new toy. We want Buzz Lightyear when we've been playing with Woody the entire time. Woody ain't good enough for us no more. We got Buzz Lightyear now. We got the bells and whistles. He got the wing extension. He got the dome cap. He can talk. You know what I'm saying? Press the button on his chest. That's what we want. But at the same time, man, ain't nothing was wrong with Woody. Woody was a reliable toy for Andy, right? Loved him through and through. depending on, you know what I'm saying, right there for him, whole time. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Everybody wants this shiny new toy. It's like every year you have a player that's going into his first season, you know what I'm saying, transition to his second season, then his rookie come in and all of a sudden, man, that's the beast right there. That's the beast. Like, forget about what this other dude did. We love a shiny new toy. But sometimes those shiny new toys ain't what we need right now. Sometimes that old dusty car just need a coat of paint, some turtle wax. That, you know, like, it ain't no need to throw the car away. Oh, this car dirty, man. Look, put a hose pipe to that thing. Put some turtle wax on it. It can shine. And it'll run like a beauty. Sometimes you might need a new car. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you know, the engine misfiring and, you know what I'm saying, get smoke in the back, burnt that gasket out. Guess what, man? Time to call the dealership. But all I'm saying is, based on what the Saints' needs are right now and the impatient fan base, I think you need to go with a proven thing. And ain't nothing wrong with Mike McCarthy. There's nothing wrong with him besides the fact that we just know who he is. And he's been around for a while. And like I said, Eric, look, I got a 2024 Benz right here, right, fully loaded. And I got a Phillip Banks Benz fully loaded. You know what I'm saying? Like, which one you gonna be looking at? You ain't gonna be looking at that Phillip Banks Benz. You're gonna be looking at the 2024. Why? Because it's more appealing to you. Why? Because it's shiny. You know what I'm saying? Like, but hey, that Phillip Banks been on the road for a long time, man. You get in that thing on, you know what I'm saying? It's well kept. It's gonna ride for a couple more years for you. And you save some money in the process. And by save money, I mean you can actually get some draft picks and you know that he's going to develop them because he has that experience for what he did out there in Green Bay. Can I interest you in a Jordan Nelson? Can I interest you in some of these other wide receivers that they had on that team? A Clay Matthews. Can I interest you in that? You know, like, dude know what he doing, man. Look past the results of Peyton. Regardless of who the head coach is, hopefully he moves on from Carr. Well, if Mike McCarthy come, I think Derek Carr going to stay. Buzz Lightyear to the rescue. Man, TJ, you talking real talk, bro. I'll take Mike McCarthy because losing it is not it, bro. Like I said, man, you can't win if you ain't in. Like, we can say this all we want to, man. We can say this all we want. But we want to make the playoffs. That stuff where we be talking about, man, well, you know, shoot, y'all happy, but man, y'all just about to get bounced out in the first round. So what? That's an extra week of football. That's an extra week of compensation for the players. And like I said, you know, like, it makes you feel good and makes you feel like your organization is going in the right direction. There only can be one world champion, ladies and gentlemen. One. Only one team. Like Darren Rizzi hit the nail on the head a few weeks ago. He said only one team leaves each season happy. Think about that. You got 32 teams in the league. 31 teams are going to leave disappointed. We live in this world today where we feel like, you know, like success is defined by winning a bunch of championships and stuff like that. To me, what makes you successful is your fan base, your team, your community, the league knows for a fact that with you, they have a chance to win. Your team has a chance to win. That team has a chance to win. That's the reality, folks. That's all that matters. Only one team leaves every single year happy. All the rest of the team trying to find that level of happiness that one team had. But you don't get that level of happiness, hell, if you don't try to make the tournament. If you're not in the tournament, you ain't going to find that level of happiness. You're already miserable. Some teams are more miserable than others. So all this stuff, man, like, man, I don't buy into all that narrative, man, how many Super Bowls they won. Look, it's good to win a Super Bowl, but I'm not going to throw away great players just because they didn't make it. I'm not going to throw away good coaches because they didn't make it. Like, is Marty Schottenheimer a great coach? Absolutely. He's still in the Hall of Fame. Didn't win a Super Bowl. Don Coryell didn't win no Super Bowl in the Hall of Fame. You got great coaches out here that for some apparent reason, we start looking at the championships and saying, oh man, they ain't win nothing, so they ain't no good. Like, they still great coaches. And like I said, the fan base, they just want to feel like they actually have a chance to win. If Mike McCarthy comes in and he can actually build a product and have the Saints possibly winning the division, you're telling me in 2025, if it's all said and done, you're not going to feel much better about being a Saints fan than you do in 2024? Like, man, I won't make the postseason. I don't know what y'all talking about. You can't win if you ain't in. We've seen teams all the time. Y'all remember that team, that Giants team? What they backed into the postseason? Y'all remember the week 17? I'll never forget, back in 2007. They played against the New England Patriots. Undefeated regular season was on the line. They lost to them. Guess what? They played them again. They went on a roll, became Road Warriors, went all the way to the Super Bowl and beat the Patriots. Nobody expected for them to be in the playoffs, say the least, actually going to the freaking Super Bowl and winning it all. All you need is an opportunity. All you need is a chance. No matter what your record is. I mean, we seen the Giants, what was that, 2012? You know, they went out there and they beat a 15-1 Green Bay Packers team. Unfortunately, it was a Mike McCarthy team, but they led them to the championship to play Tom Brady again, and they beat them. They played all road games leading up to that point. Like I said, you can't win if you ain't in. And when you're in, you got a chance. You got a chance. Tom Benson did us wrong. I don't think he did, man. I don't think he is like, I don't know. I don't think he did. I don't think he did us wrong. I think he probably felt, he probably felt like a level of closeness to Mickey Loomis. He probably looked at him as a son. Which, like I said, this is a close-knit organization, so that's no surprise. Man, TJ, we got players in the Hall of Fame that haven't got a Super Bowl, Damian Thomas and a couple more, but they still Hall of Fame players. I'm not trying to make people look at, oh man, this is just a glass half full type take, TJ. That's what you're doing, glass half full, TJ. Let me tell y'all something, man. I understand everybody's frustration. I know I do other things outside of just doing this podcast, sports writing, etc. But man, I am a Saints fan through and through. The reason why I started this show in the first place, everything else that came after that is just a blessing from God. So I feel the same way everybody else does. You know what I'm saying? I'm just as frustrated. It's kind of hard to try to compartmentalize my feelings about this football team, but at the same time, try to give an objective take. Now, I be extremely frustrated looking at this football team, but I try to keep it, pretty even keel. I'm just as frustrated as everybody else. But we also have to just understand, man, like, bro, the name of the game is being competitive. Like, if you don't believe me, like, man, look at the Saints. Like, as great as Drew Brees was, he only has one Super Bowl. All those statistical records, all those records that he broke, he only has one Super Bowl. Like Sean Payton, he only has one Super Bowl. Multiple playoff appearances, but at the end of the day, only one Super Bowl. But guess what? When they used to get bounced out of the playoffs in heartbreaking fashion, heartbreaking loss to the 49ers, heartbreaking loss to the Vikings, heartbreaking loss to the Rams, heartbreaking loss to the Buccaneers. Guess what? You hurt, you felt bad, probably didn't want to watch the next game that came on after it. Because guess what? You was right back there again with your mock draft in your hand saying who that at all of the offseason activity that you can take a part in, and still up there talking smack to every NFC South foe that you have, talking about the Saints about to win something. What gave you that hope, that belief that they can actually do that? Ask yourself that. They didn't win year after year. They made the postseason. They won a division, but they didn't win nothing. But what gave you that hope? It was the fact that you knew for a fact that they can actually put together a string of wins to get them to an ultimate destination, which is the playoffs, and anything goes. So my question is, ladies and gentlemen, how the hell did you lose that? And why wouldn't you want that again, that opportunity again? And Mike McCarthy could possibly give you that opportunity. Hell, Aaron Glenn could possibly give you that opportunity. But all I'm saying is, if you have an experienced coach that has a reputation of doing that. Why wouldn't you want to get behind that? At the end of the day, you just want to feel. Like, you may not look at it like that, but that's what you want. You just want to feel. Like, you want to feel like your team is in it. What made us feel hopeless was the fact that we went into games knowing good and god doggone well that the Saints weren't going to win no football game. We knew they weren't going to move the football. We know there was going to be a plethora of penalties. We know dudes were going to get smoked. We know they was going to miss tackles. Don't feel good, does it? But when number 9 ran out that smoke in a Superdome on Sunday, regardless to who they were playing against, no matter if they were playing against one of the best teams in the league or one of the worst, you knew that they was going to light that thing up, and you knew no matter, as long as they had time on the clock, that young, 6 foot tall, 209-pound son of a gun was going to give you an opportunity. That's all we want. That's all we want. That's all you should want. But like I said, right now, I don't want to feel like this. I ain't trying to feel like this, bruh. I would take a winning coach. I would take McCarthy. I don't want any more losing. I don't think nobody wants to lose. I think people just want stability, man. People just want stability. TJ, I want them to hire a coach who doesn't have anything to do with New Orleans. And that's fair. Like I say, if you can find the right guy that you feel like can actually shape and mold this and create a culture that people can enjoy Saints football once again, by all means. You know, but like I said, when I look at this, I'm lobbying, I'm advocating for somebody with some experience. If the shoe was on the other foot and there was different circumstances, ladies and gentlemen, trust and believe the dialogue here on the State of the Saints podcast, this episode would be entirely different. Entirely different. Would not be the same. But I look at the state of the Saints. Once again, no pun intended. I look at where they are right now. And I look at what they actually need right now. Like, you can't get highly touted free agents to try to come in to help you out. The best bet is for you to be able to draft players and use what you got for the time being. And you need somebody that's going to keep it afloat, to keep fans continuing to file into the Superdome feeling like you have a chance to win. So with that, there's no disrespect to Aaron Glenn. There's no disrespect to Joe Brady. But if you're in this type of situation, you want to see a coach that possibly has done this before. TJ, word on the street is the Falcons about to interview DA for the defensive coordinator. Well, if they do, man, then the Saints going to have some problems. I can tell you that. They're going to have some problems. Like, I'm not even, look, we can talk about it, laugh at Dennis Allen all we want to, but Dennis Allen, the head coach, wasn't very good. Dennis Allen, the DC, is damn good. So I hope that doesn't happen. I don't want to see that happen. TJ, man, I feel like Mickey Loomis stay out the way and let these coaches come in and do it the way they want to do it. I think we could be very successful. That's why that goes back to my main point. Low maintenance coaches. Coaches you don't really have to do too much with. That is what you need. You need a coach that's just going to do the right thing. Oh, you got this personnel, bring them here. You know what I'm saying? I'll make something with it. I cook this meal, you know what I'm saying? This meal is going to taste good. Like, okay, what you got? Some chopped carrots. Okay, we chop them up. You know, like, what else you got? We going to make a stew out this day. You know, like, that's what you need. The problem is, and the issue is, we see too much of Mickey. We know too much about him now. And that's something that we never been really exposed to. Like, who cared what Mickey Loomis had to say before? Like, this is the first time, like, honestly, in 2024, as long as this man has been the general manager, this is the first time I've ever, like, anticipated anything that he had to say. Like, anything that he had to, like, he talks at the end of the season every year, and nobody cares. But I guarantee you, in the last 6 months, for the exception of maybe Darren Rizzi's first press conference, I guarantee you that's probably the most viewed press conference that the Saints had on their channel. I'd be shocked if it's not. Nobody cared. Like, man, nobody. I honestly, I only could think of maybe 3 times I looked at a Mickey Loomis press conference at the end of the season. The one last year when he was chewing gum, the most, legendary one that he's done, and this one. Who like think about this? I'm serious. Think about this. When have you ever anticipated a Mickey Loomis press conference? Most of the time it's like, oh, Mickey spoke to the media too, because nobody cared. The problem is, like, we didn't have to care. We didn't, like, okay, man, like, yeah, man, all right, see you next year. Because Drew Brees, Sean Payton covered it up. Kept him relevant. Kept him looking like he knew what he was doing. So nobody cared. Like, nobody cared what this man had to say. But now, like I said, man, you sitting up here waiting like you about to watch the NFL draft or something. Like, man, I wonder what Mickey got to say. I'm up here tweeting about questions that I want the media to ask Mickey Loomis. Like, like stuff like that. Like nobody cared. Like, you anticipated this like the Saints were on the clock in the draft. You want that not to happen again? You want to not care about what Mickey Loomis thinks or says anymore? Bring a coach in that knows what he's doing. Bring a coach in that can just basically oversee everything and has that experience. Then you don't have to worry your little head about Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis can go back into the background, in the shadows, in the back, like, like that stereotypical villain and most of those 1920 silent films. Like the guy that's in the back, with the cloak, what I'm saying, dark, that's what he can be. And I don't think anybody will lose any sleep behind that either. If they hire Mike McCarthy, I will legit be so close to just stop caring about this team. And I have been a fan for 12 years. That's my question, though. Why? Like, why would you, like, stop caring? Like, man, I don't know. I don't know. I think that I don't get it, man. Like, Mike McCarthy is not a bad coach. He's not a bad coach. Like I said, man, what is the issue? What's the issue with him? Like, he has a high winning percentage as a coach. He has made the playoffs on countless occasions. He has won his division on his team on countless occasions. I just don't. I understand. I guess the fact that everybody knows what he is. He's been around for a while. And, I don't know, man. I just think that people just want to hear something that they ain't used to. They want to see something fresh and brand new. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to see no salt and pepper. You know what I'm saying? They want to see a dude come up in there with some jet black on, some cocoa bean Beijing in their head or something. You know what I'm saying? Nice and dark. Looking like Dennis Allen after the bye week when he dyed his hair for some apparent reason. Like they want the jet black and, you know what I'm saying, smooth suit. Oh, man, that's my coach right there. Man, there he is right there. Oh, man, you about to coach the hell out this team. Like, come on, man. Like, Mike McCarthy, he'll comb his hair for you, I'm sure. He'll shave the beard, you know what I'm saying? He'll get the light taper in the back, like, I don't know, man. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care, man. As long as the guy can come in and keep Mickey Loomis upstairs somewhere, man, where we ain't really got to see him like that. I'm good. I ain't got to see it. This man said Jalen Miro can't throw. Have you seen Ryan Williams? Man, look, I'm off the Jalen Miro train, bro. I'm sorry. Jalen Miro ain't doing it for me. He ain't saving nothing. For me. I'm pretty sure, like, you go to the right situation, it might be serviceable, but I don't feel like that's gonna change your misfortunes. Fields can't throw on the run or standing still. Just stop it, dude. I'd rather take Justin Fields over Derek Carr. I can tell you that. I mean, Milton has a ton of raw potential. Yeah, Joe Milton for the Patriots. Yeah, he has a lot of raw material. Yeah, he's talented, man. TJ, would you rather draft a quarterback or trade for Joe Milton? Draft a quarterback. I'd rather draft a quarterback. I mean, no disrespect to Joe Milton at all. I think he's talented, man. I think he's fun to watch. But, man, you just want your guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it based on this draft, I mean, trading for Joe Milton wouldn't be such a bad idea. I mean, if you really just was in desperate need of a quarterback, but if it's like any other situation or something like that, yeah. I mean, I would want to draft a quarterback, but I think that Joe Milton is talented. I think they're gonna get some really good trade value out of him. Yeah, Ryan Williams, a good wide receiver. He was open on most of those passes. Yeah, man, it's kind of easy to throw the ball down the field when a guy got about 10, 15 yards of separation. What's going to happen with them tight windows? How can you thread the needle there? The national media don't like Mike, so the rest of the people just fall in line. All he does is win. Yeah, Mike Tomlin. Yeah, I don't understand it either, man. You ain't about to hear me say nothing bad about him. Man won. The man had a winning record every single year he was a coach. And it is amazing to me, man. You don't really hear that stuff about none of these other coaches out here, man. Like, it's always, you fill in the blanks. Marvin Lewis, right? Marvin Lewis was one. He used to win a lot of games, couldn't win a playoff game, right? Got him up out of there. Todd Bowles, the narrative about him. Oh, man, they win a division every year, but they don't go far in the playoffs. Meanwhile, Tampa couldn't win a doggone game before he really got there, him and Bruce Arians. But this man still, like, winning the division. Got you in the playoffs. Like, the only reason why, because the defense couldn't get a stop yesterday, you know what I'm saying? But god dang, you know what I'm saying? Jaden Daniels is a special kid. He's a good quarterback. They didn't possess the ball. Who knows what would have happened if Baker Mayfield would have got the ball? You know what I'm saying? I hate to say it, man. Marshawn Lattimore was out there getting worked by Mike Evans. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can make an argument. I'm sorry. You can make an argument that if the Commanders would have lost that game, it would have been because of Dan Quinn, aggressive play calling, way too aggressive, not taking the points, and Marshawn Lattimore out there getting worked. I'm sorry. I love Marshawn, but he was getting worked out there, man. So, I mean, Baker made one mistake, and that one mistake cost him. So, there you go, man. So, I'm just saying, there's all like you win a lot, but you don't win enough, or you don't win what matters. I don't get it. Like, bruh, you can't win if you ain't in. Give me a coach. Unless you about to replace me, unless you about to replace him with a coach that you know for a fact, 100% that you're gonna end up going to the postseason and having a deep run. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Can you really see Mike T stepping down, TJ? Ain't nobody said anything about Matt LaFleur. Ain't nobody say nothing about no Matt LaFleur. Ain't nobody say, man, I'm trying to think of some of these other coaches. Like these coaches that end up, I hate to say it, Sean Payton, I guess because he won a Super Bowl, everybody kept their mouth shut, but that Super Bowl was a long time ago. Ain't nobody say nothing. So all of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, man, we need to stop this. But thank y'all so much for checking out the State of Saints podcast. I really do appreciate it. Much love to each and every one of you. I ask that you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, tell everybody that you know that the State of Saints podcast is the way to go. All right. Make sure that you follow me on social media, X at TJAY Jones 8, as well as Blue Sky at TJAY Jones 8. And I've been asking people, make sure that you send your questions via a voice message. You can send it to me, stateofthesaints@gmail.com. Want to start that new format where, I play some of your questions on the show. So feel free to put some questions, send them to me, stateofthesaints@gmail.com. I really do appreciate each and every one of you once again. We'll see what happens, man. We'll be right here on the State of Saints podcast. Really excited about some things that are coming up. And I forgot to tell y'all, I end up actually getting my media credentials to take part in Super Bowl 59 this season, man. Like Super Bowl 59, I'll be there. I officially got approved on yesterday or Sunday night. So this is the first time I'll be able to travel to the Super Bowl, and I'm extremely excited about that. Unfortunately, that means that I'm probably gonna have to miss the Senior Bowl, man, because I can't do them all, man. I am a father, and I got my son, and I gotta pick and choose the activities that I can take a part in. I went to the Senior Bowl before the last couple of years, so I'm going to sit this one out so I can get an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, and definitely going to be going to the NFL Combine. So that's going to make up for, being able to look at some of these college players. All right. But no, don't fear. There's several other podcasters that's going to be out there. I know my guy Dolph is going to be out there at the Senior Bowl. Of course, Ross Jackson, Nick Underhill, rest of the crew, giving up-to-date information on the New Orleans Saints. They do an outstanding job. One day I can be like those gentlemen. But yeah, man. But I'm so excited about the opportunity, man. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to giving you more episodes here of the State of the Saints podcast. Till next time, all I got to say is, who that?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.